everyone! Welcome back to another episode of Padre Plays Twilight Princess. I hope you're as excited as I am to jump back into it. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Here we are. So here's on the intro. I got my Wiimote connected and we're all set to go. So as you can see, we did play for just over an hour last time. And so if you missed that, I strongly encourage you to click onto my channel, watch the previous episode if you missed it. As this is a story quest, and it will build off of, the previous episode. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in right now. I'm also going to make sure that the video is going well. Video is going. Alright, excellent. Yes, looks very good. So, if you remember last time, we are Link, or I named him Jesse. We live on a ranch. This is a recap for those of you who are not going to watch the first episode. Live on a ranch. We are goat wranglers, and that's what we're doing here on the goat farm. And we are very poor, we found out. We impressed some ladies with our handy dandy slingshot. How come there's no... That's weird. There wasn't any audio for a second there. Anyway, we live in this town. We were tasked with bringing a gift to Hyrule for the princess. I think it was the princess, or it was just Hyrule. This is the guy we work for. We were just about to do it, and then we had a day off right before we were going to do it, but then some problems happened with the kids. We had to go rescue the kids. We saved the kids. And now we were just about to be on our way, but the lady friend of ours stole our horse and took it because she said we were pushing it too hard. So now, I'm going to talk to him. Yes, so we're off to Hyrule. So, Hyrule, huh? What kind of place is it, bud? I ain't never been so much as set foot outside Ordon. Ordon Village is where we're from. Woo! Y'all making me jealous. Face stuff. I also very strongly encourage you to watch the previous episode because I am amazing at voices. Okay, so where we left off last time, we were talking to the mayor. The mayor's daughter is the lady friend who stole the horse and most likely put it back in that spring. There's no way to be able to deliver a town's gift without Lola. Lola is the horse. Thank you, Phil, for that name. Oh, we got a little loose. You headed for town, so we stopped. We did also did this last time too, but I'll stop another one. Nice. Sorry to always be putting you through this, Jesse. Well, you better get going and figure out what you're gonna do about Lola. Maybe you can head on up to her. Lilia, that's the name. Lilia is, and see if she won't give the horse back. Alright, thank you, sir. I will take my most prized possession. Oh, excuse me. Can I climb that? I would like to take this chicken. And we're off. What do these guys got to say? I'm sure it'll be a long journey. Good luck, thank you. This is my mentor. For now, put this village out of your thoughts and leave things to me. Alright. Money, money, money. What's up, Blue Ruby? Fantastic. Alright, as I'm running here, we're gonna leave and go see... It's not showing me. There we go. Alright, cool. Again, the little fly fairy thing, that is my cursor that I use with my Wiimote. All the kids are here. This is Colin.
Jesse, are you going to see Anya? Maybe it's just me, but those guys don't normally let people through. Jesse, you think we can go see Anya together?
Sure. Are you gonna follow me now? Follow me. Is that a squirrel? Wait, what is that? Is that a butterfly? Oh, there's a squirrel. Cool. Hey, squirrel. Oh, I meant to talk to the lady, but oh well. Hey, we've been waiting for you, Jesse. Yesterday was so much fun. Yeah, chasing that monkey was great. I was just telling Milo here how we wanted to show him, but we let it... How we wanted to show it to him, but we let it go instead. Oh, you didn't get caught, Tylo. Oh, Colin. Way to spoil everything by telling your dad. Nice job. Yeah, thanks a lot. We got scolded by our dad or something awful. I thought it was never gonna end. I bet you're trying to go see Lillian, aren't you? Well, that's a different guy now. I bet you're going to see Lillian, aren't you? Well, there's no way I'm gonna let you pass. Oh, hey, neat, Jesse. Let me borrow that wooden sword. If I had that wooden sword yesterday, I could have handled it all alone. Definitely. Come on, let me borrow that wooden sword. Oh, unfortunately, we have to give it to him, her, I think it's him. Yes, him. Yeah! With this thing, I'll show them. I'll show them all! Hey, what happened on my targets? Thanks.
Those guys are always teasing me. What's the way with some freaky something around like that anyway? I hate it, it's scary. But when I grow up, I'm gonna be just like you, Jesse. I don't want to learn about swords or anything, but could you teach me how to ride a horse sometime?
I will.
Can you? You have to promise.
Yes, because I'm a professional horse rider. Alright, I want to talk to you because I didn't talk to you yet. Jesse, hello again. Oh, you're going to Hyrule Castle, aren't you, Jesse? That must be so nice. I want to go to Hyrule too. I mean, there's nothing that looks like good on me in this town. Squirrel friend. Oh, I don't have my sword anymore. I'm swinging for my sword and I don't even have it anymore. Whoops. Alright, let's go. Let's go do this. What? So many squirrels. I almost hit that, get that bird there. We're gonna go check out the horse. What? What? Jesse.
Yes.
If you came back for Lola, if you came to take Lola back, you can forget it. Why don't you think about what you've done for a change? I won't open the gate until you change your attitude.
Lila, you don't know what happened yesterday. Listen, I don't know if she'll listen to me, but let me try to explain about Tyler and the monkey, okay? You crawl in through the tunnel and back. Well, I do, Jesse.
Alright. And again, Lily is mad at us because we pushed the horse too hard yesterday when we were saving all the kids. Gotta dust myself off. I had no idea. I hadn't heard the details about Taylor's capture. But Colin...
So you still prefer Master over me, huh, Lola?
about your horse, Jesse. Fortunately, it looks like the injury isn't too serious. You two can go on together. But Jesse, can you at least promise me this? No matter what happens on your journey, don't try to do anything out of your league. Please? I got news for you. Nothing is out of my league. Just come home safely. I will. For you. What the? It's a pig! Do something, like use your wooden sword you don't have. Don't just stand there. Ooh, she got shot. Like, oh. I'll give him one left, right. Oh. That's not good. That must be the head poncho there. He's looking around. You guys kind of scared. Run, Link, run! Chase after him. It's getting kind of dark. Ooh. Something's happening here. Oh. I just was eaten by the giant, massive blob. Uh-oh. That... I don't like that at all. Oh man, but the Triforce... Ugh. What happened here? Viewer discretion is advised. Being dragged. That is a creepy looking thing. Something's watching me. Something's... I'll be watching you, Mike Wazowski. Always watching. Do I want to save? Yes. Save. Yes. Alright, we're doing it. We're saving. Moving on. Oh, they chained me. Like the dog that I am. And they put me in prison. I didn't think it was good enough to chain me up. Okay. So I'm actually chained up. I can dig. Oh. I heard you. Quick test something. Yeah. Ooh, aren't you scary? Are you sure you want to be doing that, Snarly? And glaring at me? Yeah, that's too bad.
I was planning on helping you if you're nice. That's much better. Your comments are reason to a fault, aren't you? Oops, but you're out a human animal, are you? The beast.
There, you be a good boy and calm down. No need to bite. I can't decide what voice to give her. Kame. Kame. Oh, you're not. You look kind of surprised.
So I bet you're running really good. Here we are.
I think Elmo voice is working. She's just teleported.
Well, let me get to you. If you can get over here, maybe I'll tell you.
There's like a weird buzzing in my ear. Alright, we're good. So, I can dash. Whoa. Rough, rough. Alright. So I can break this box and then I can try to dig out of here.
I guess you're not completely stupid after all. Listen, I like you. So then we can get you over here. Well, instead for my help, you have to do exactly as I said. If you do anything from here, just press blip to give me a sign. Sorry, I can't again. No, come on, let's get to moving.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead. So I can dig. Oop. I'm trying to break this table.
Ah, that's the way. If you need help, just come here with flip. Oh, you're a good boy. I'll be happy to lend a hand.
Okay. What's over here? Is this where we escaped from? Hold on. So that's where we escaped from. We're in some prison. We are a wolf, for crying out loud. The door is shut. Alright, so this must be where we have to go.
Oh, what's up? Take us easy. You should know how to do this.
And bite. Interesting. It's a way out. I don't like those little jangles. This is the creepiest thing. I don't like this.
Oh, wow. You want to see something interesting? You're a beast, you should know what to do. Use your senses with beep beep and turn around.
Alright, so I'm using my sense. Because it's just like a flame, a floating flame. It's a soldier? Listen. Off. Can't run any further. That's far enough. Right, I'll be safe here, I think. What was that noise? Don't anything come near me. Creepy. And that yawn is very creepy. Is this water down here?
That was a soldier spirit. Maybe it's someone from another world. A lot of spirits roaming around here, you know. Hone your senses with beep beep to see them. They might know things.
Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying the voices or if I should change them. And there is a giant squid. I just ripped it. I ripped it out of existence. Alright. So Where we gotta go?
What do you going to
I got you used to your body yet. So I'll just tell you.
really want
Think
to
about how you felt enemies in your human form. Just because your shape has changed doesn't mean your instincts have as well.
You're a bad guy? Oh, there he is down there. No, I'm trying to get on the bad guy. No. Alright, so this thing here. Opens this up. It's like a secret. I think I have to go this way. There are spikes. I cannot go to the spikes. Oh. Oh, it's in here. Interesting. Oh, we killed the red bird. Better give me a heart. Alright, so let's go search around. So if I pull this, it releases the water. Zelda chime. Did something right. Which means now we can swim over the spikes. Fantastic. What do we got here? What are those black things? Where are they coming from? And how do I get out of here? How do we get out of here? Scary. Alright, I think.
This way, over here. I'll be ready for you, but you have to help yourself for the change.
I think my voice is dying, so I'm gonna have to change it up a little bit. So I have to get over there. Looks like I get down there. But water's too high. So opens up. Why do I want to open this up if it's going to make me die? Great, now I have like low health, so it's gonna beat me. I'm gonna die again. Be careful. There we go. Maybe that hurt. Nope. I'm definitely not used to being a wolf yet. So here's like another water thing. Let me go talk to this guy real quick. What are those black monsters? I've never seen anything like them. I mean, we're in the same boat, buddy. Why? I keep releasing these, like, bad guys. Is it even worth opening these things? Why do they even have them if it's not worth opening? There we go. Got the water out then. Yeah. I have to hit the enter button. Gotta crawl just like Adult Link. What's this guy got to say? Please, I am but a lonely soldier. Please, someone save me from these evil creatures. Oh. Also, what? Ooh, money, money, money. I'll just put that in my back.
Hee oh, yeah, the detour tie around, little wolf.
This is getting annoying.
By the way, are you holding your senses with like you should? Looks like the spirits in here. They're all soldiers. Where in the world could we be? Hee hee. You want out of here, right? Okay, we're off.
guess, going up. What? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? The floor fell from under me. I guess I have to do everything for you. I'll guide you over to sure footing, so chart the sea and follow me with aid. I'm an expert tightrope walker. I mean, can't we just go through the door that's like right here? And I feel like I can figure it out. Maybe just like push it. Oh, so is it raining? Oh, there's like a little hole. Is that door just open or is that... Oh no, it must be the wind. So you know where we are yet? No. Well, if you go to the top, you might figure it out. So we're at some kind of castle. I just want to say this right now, I don't like this part of the game. It's so dark and gloomy. But it looks like a castle. So we are finally able to get out. And look at the sky! Isn't the black cloud of twilight looking beautiful today? Do you know what this is? You still don't know? Look, there's someone I want to introduce you to, but you need to go to that tower to do it. I think over here. This is that door I would have came out. I remember the first time I played this, like, I literally didn't know. I was like, where am I? What? Oh, what? I was trying to do sense, but then it got me out of it. So there are even spirits up here, huh? This whole spirit thing is pretty new to you, isn't it? Even though those guys can see those monsters, they don't know a thing about you. If you think I'm lying, why don't you go check it out? Hone your fine senses with the bubble. What are those monster birds? What in the world is happening here? Our poor Hyrule Castle. So that's where we are. Hyrule Castle. Wasn't that the person I wanted to meet? That wasn't the person I wanted to meet, by the way. Well, let's just try and get to that tower. Push. Nope, I want to push it. This is your first. Well, not your first, but one of the first puzzles you have to figure out. Did it. Oh, those must be the giant birds. Those things freaked me out when I first played it. They still freak me out. At least a little bit more. They like sit like birds, but they have no face. There's some kind of like giant vacuum space. Whoa! Pull ourselves up like. Ah! How do we get over there? Oh. Oop, just a little further. Don't need any of this. a creep. Whoa! I just like launched myself down. This is a creepy place, man. Just makes me uncomfortable being here. Creepy music, creepy atmosphere. People, creepy enemies. There's like little black particles in the sky. Can I go down here? Nope, there's an empty door. So I came in the window. So I pushed myself in. Some weird cloaked person. Sit back and watch this. Oh. Linda. You remember my name. What an honor for me. So this is the one for whom you were searching. Not exactly what I had in mind, but I guess you'll do. You were in prison? I am sorry. He has no idea where this is or what's happened. So don't you think you should explain to him what you managed to do? You owe him that much. Twilight Princess. That's the name of the game, by the way. Listen carefully. This was once the land where the power of the gods was set to slumber. This was once the kingdom of Hyrule, but that blessed kingdom has been transformed by the king that rules the Twilight. That's highlighted in red, so we know it's important. And she is the Twilight Princess. It has been turned into a world of shadows, ruled by creatures who shun the light. Zelda, Princess Zelda, and a bunch of soldiers who don't seem to be moving. Oh, a bunch of smoke. Creature that got me. There's the big poncho guy there. It is time for you to choose. Surrender or die. Ah, yes, a question for all the land and people of Hyrule. Life or death? Did they just murder everyone? townsfolk. Twilight covered Hyrule like a shroud, and without light, the people became spirits, became as spirits. And Hyrule continued to be lit on fire. Within the twilight they live on, unaware that they have passed into spirit forms. All the people know now is fear. Fear of a nameless evil. The kingdom succumbed to Twilight, but I remain its princess. Just kidding. I kind of figured. Because I played this game before. Too. I am Zelda.
Now.
You don't have to look so sad.
Yeah. Still wait.
We actually find it to be quite livable. I mean, is perpetual twilight really all that bad? This is no time for levity. The shadow beasts have been searching far and wide for you. Why is this?
Take you now.
Why indeed? You tell me. The time has grown short. The guard will soon make his rounds. We must leave here quickly. Please, you must leave quickly before the guard comes. Sleep on the bed. No, not that way. The guard's coming. Boy, he's prompt. Let's go out the window we came in. Well, do you understand where we are now? I mean, I do, yeah, it was explained to me. Well, I guess a promise is a promise, so I'll let you go back to where you first trembled into twilight. Yeah, I don't know why I said that so happy.
What?
But are you really sure you want to be going back? Are you sure you aren't forgetting anything important? How'd you do that? You want to save them? Well, in that case, little Minda would be happy to help you. But, well, you'd have to be my servant, and like a servant, you'd have to do exactly as I say. Why don't you go back, take a little time, and give it some thought? And I just vaporized. Looks nice. There we go. It's home sweet home. Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention one thing. Though you may have left the Darkened Realm, you haven't transformed back to your former self. And you won't anytime soon. Now, why could that be? See you later. Well, I am a wolf. Reminds me of that one movie, the dog. I forgot what, sheepdog? No, so, what's next?
To
Did you think I disappeared? Listen, there's another thing I forgot to tell you. Don't think you can just run off and save your friends because you can't. Just beyond that bridge, the land is covered in twilight. Last time, a shadow beast pulled you through the curtain of twilight. But if you want to go that way this time, you'll need the cooperation from somebody from the twilight, like me. So you really have no choice but to do what I say. Saving your friends and all that, well, that depends on your actions. Because you never can trust words, you know. Right now, I want a sword and a shield that'll suit me. You understand me, don't you? So what do you plan to do while you're here waddling? The twilight continues to expand. Come on, hurry it up. Let's go save my friends. Boy, you sure are thick. The land in that direction is covered in twilight. Only somebody from the twilight can pull you back into the twilight. Twilight realm? Twilight? So if you want to go back in there, you have to do as I say and find a sword and shield somewhere. Luckily, I may know exactly where those things are. What? Why is there a guy here? Sir, what are you doing? I just smashed him with my face. Wait!
Take the lights! What the guys those bad guys?
That squirrel is talking to me.
They brought the village in the forest a mess. They kidnapped the village children. But I know you're not one of them. I can tell because you smell like the trees of Orda. If you run into any trouble, try talking to the animals. Well, we animals understand one another, so you'll be alright.
Sweet. I can talk to squirrels. I can talk to squirrels. I can talk to squirrels. Oh, good. He's a good friend. Oh, how did it come to this? The children, please say nothing's happened. Please forgive your good-for-nothing father. It's like the happy theme, but like not happy. I could just go say hi to him. I guess not. Let's go over here. Oh, about the shield. Hey, that's loud. Oh, I need a shield. So the shield is still in your house, right? Remember when we saw the shield in that house there? We walked in, that was with the dog and that ugly lady. Oh yeah, it should be on our storage locked. Good, go grab it quick as you can. Russell got wounded pretty bad, so he can't go search for the kids. I'll take over for him. But Russell still had a sword, Mayor. And he still got hurt. If you're unarmed, we're done. You're done for. I'll be fine. The sword we were going to present to the royal family should be still at Russell's house. Oh yeah, right. I understand, Mayor. I'll hurry up and get that shield. You just wait here. Oh, no good. Run. So we can't get in through the door. It's not a bad bit of information you heard, huh? Look at that open window. This village is full of idiots. So, And it's like, maybe you should try right there.
What comes
We
with
should
you?
jump up there, but from where? I don't know, maybe from right here, but the game's not gonna let us. Monster! Monster! You've returned for more, haven't you? My daughter, return her! And take this! You guys remember from episode 1, this guy mentioned, like, oh, I wish I thought of that. And now he is thinking of using the hawk. And the hawk is trying to attack us. But what we have to do. Come on, let's get up on this roof and from here and scare that guy. Look at him posing like he's all important. Wait until he sees us. So we need to do. Oh, there's a cat. Hold on, I gotta see the cat. Gotta talk to the kitty.
Were you attacked by that hawk? You're no match for you.
I'm sorry, that person behind the hawk is my master's husband. You can sneak up from behind and scare him, you know. Yes. Rough. Like an owl. So, you're Jesse, right? Sorry about giving so much trouble before. I'm not proud of it, but it's in my genes to obey anyone who blows the reed. I say it. Like your voice, it sounds just like a reed. That's why I flew down. I'll tell you what, next time coming like that when you need something, who knows, I might be able to help you out. I mean, I do need something. I need a shield and a sword. Can you get that for me, buddy? I just fall off. Alright, Minda can help me out. Nice. And we're in. Oh, and we're in. Nice. There's that sword. I mean shield. Screw it up. Wait, is Puppy still in here? Puppy. 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 They stole Puppy? Hee, found it, found it. Cool. We gotta stand a little farther back, maybe. Yeah, jump. Oh, come on. Come on. Maybe I gotta hold it for longer. There. Alright, there we go. There we go. Mine. You got the Ordon shield. Press Z to defend yourself, but beware if it's touched by fire, it will burn. Because it's made out of wood. It looks kinda cheap. What? Right there, next is a sword, right? And get one. Wait, how do I get out of here? Was I supposed to just leave somewhere? Ah, I see. Okay, there's a window. That would have been useful to know. What was that sound? The children could have not returned, could they? I must go out and search one last time. You get inside the house. I placed the sword that was to be our gift to Hyrule on the couch. If the mayor comes for it, please give it to him. But darling, your injuries. So we gotta like sneak by. He looks very injured. To a frog.
To humans, this might seem like the average country town, but to us, it's paradise. You should take a good look around this town. You might see stuff sparkling brightly, or you may not, depending on how good your senses are.
Chickens? No way.
The big wolf at the light when the moon rises high. Beautiful. Tell me, who's it? Is it a human? Was currently not in the town? Nah, just easy. Oh, you're lucky. You're sharp and senses. And you're soft-looking coat. Lovely.
So, anyway, what I'm supposed to do is I have to get, it's in the couch or whatever, I have to dig on the side of their house here. That was steal their sword. Ooh, they threw a picture on the wall. Who is all this? Colin? Dad? Oh, and the baby. I gotcha. Oh, here's the sword. Pick up. You got the Ordon sword. This is a sword crafted by Russell, the best swordsman in Ordon, as a tribute to the royal family. I feel like we could have done something better with the sword, maybe. I don't know. Alright, so now you have a sword. Looks like you can actually be useful when you concentrate. Alright, no more detours. I'm going to take you back into the twilight. Go back to the woods where you first transformed into that shape. Will do. I can accomplish this. Alright, bye, squirrel. Checking my phone here as well. I can get it out of my pocket. Okay. Very cool. Alright, let's go back then to where. What? Wait. Come to my spring. You have been transformed by the power of shadow. Come to me. Oh! What just happened? Beware, a shadow being. It approaches. No kidding. fell beasts. The entire kingdom has been reduced to another world ruled by the cursed powers of darkness. The light will not stop with I rule. Before long, the entire world of light will fall into the hands of the king who rules the twilight. Go get that king who rules the twilight. To save this land from the king of twilight, the lost light must be recovered. The three light spirits who have lost their light must be revived. There is but one who can revive them and redeem this land. You still have not discovered your true power. Those transformed by twilight usually cannot recover their original forms. Unless if you were to return to Faron Woods where you were first transformed. If you were to revive the light spirit, there, by the power of the light spirit, you may find the means to regain your other state of being. Oh, that's a lot of being. Very cool. It's probably my favorite spring. This one right here. Nice. Let's head on out then and recover those other light spirits.
What?
Hey, look. The Faron Woods that you know so well, they're not covered in twilight. You might not be able to come back here, but you still want to go? Yes. Yes, I do. I got my remote and oh! Shoot! That was quite the grab. Faron Woods. So these are the weapons you use in your world. I really think this thing can slay the creatures of Twilight. Well, I won't use these, but I'll hang on to them for you. Alright, a promise is a promise. I trust you enough to help. Sweet child, I need you to gather some things for me. Look, you, I can't tell you all the details now, but it'll be easy. Trust me. But enough about that. Do you hear that noise? It's the lamentation of the spirit that is light stolen. Where in the world could it be, hee? I don't know. Better get going, don't you think? Don't blame me for your world's fate if you don't hurry up and find that light. Come on, step to it. Ah, we're pinned in again. Who do you think they're dealing with? No need to take all these low-class one at a time. You can take them all at once. So, you can handle this by yourself, can't you? Good luck. Bye. What's the holdup? If you leave the last one alive, it's just going to use that shriek to bring the others back. Listen, let me help you out there. Just move like I tell you. You just hold down B and I'll expand an energy field. Enclose all of your enemies within it and release the button. Hold on a second. Where's the other one? And I just died. And it's like, well, that stinks. Alright, that didn't happen. Redo it. Retry it? Yeah, we'll retry it. I hope we don't have to go through that again. Maybe we do. I don't even know. Oh, they're still waiting there for us. Alright, let's see if we can get them all together. Nice. So we just gotta meet them all at once. And then they can't call their buddies back. Can't call their buddies back to life. Nice. Alright, a spring. This is obviously where the other one's gonna be. Check.
Please be careful. These woods have changed. The dark clouds of dust cover this land. This drape of shadows is called Twilight, if you didn't hear that for the 5th time. In this twilight, those who live in the light become as mere spirits. It is a place where the dark ones and evil creatures dwell. I am a spirit of light. Blue-eyed beast, look for my light. Retrieve the light, stolen by the dark beasts who want the light, and keep it in this vessel. You got the vessel of light. Use this to collect tears that cut through the darkness. When the vessel is full of tears, you can dispel the twilight and return the land to its light-filled state. To see the evils that consume the tears, press da to use your senses. In the shadows of twilight, the darkness insects are as invisible as normal beings are here. Let me use the last of my power to reveal the locations of the dark insects that consume the light. Okay. Find the insects of darkness. The dark insects of darkness, they are the form taken by evil once it has lashed onto our sacred light. Alright, let's go get him. Let's go, speed. There's one, two. Yes. Number one. There it is. There we go. Number one. Of how many? 2, 3, 7, 8, 9,
10, 11, 12. I think 16 of them? That's a lot of light. I mean, a lot of tears. They made a remastered version of this, and there are less tears. And I think that is a good improvement. I don't know what's going on with the audio. Come on. For whatever reason, the audio is kind of going bad. Alright, I think I want to go ahead and get the other ones first. So we can get this guy's house, shoot him into his help. Looks like we can get there. Yes, we can. You guys remember this was the guy with the lantern guy with the big afro? What's with these bugs? Those things aren't normal. They're so big, they're so big, they're so creepy. Come on, get away, bug. Shoot, get out of here. Not that one. Not that one. What? They just died? Oh boy, I have no idea what's going on around here. So I guess the spirits can't see me. I am just I'm like invisible to them. It's fine by me though, I guess. Oh, there's one more. Man, it's getting really like fuzzy with the. Can I go this way? Wait, don't go too far. Oh. I'm trying to figure out where this bug is. Oh, it's there. Nice. Ah man, remember when we came back and we got the lantern? Those were better times. Those were simpler times. Happier times. I gotta dig down here again. Okay, nice. Oh man, remember when I lit that torch? It's actually a little bit brighter in here than it would be normally though, which is odd. Is it worth going to see that? I don't think that'd be anything over there. Because last time I got like a chest or something, but I don't think it'd be anything different if I went to the right there. Alright. I don't know what's going on with the audio, it's like jumping. I wonder if I could try fixing it. Yeah, I don't know. Other than like reviewing it, I don't know. Alright, let's see here. Can I just go in here? Do I just die? No, I don't know, I just fall over and fall asleep forever. Yeah, I knew it.
into a
From the look of it, I don't think we're going to get through there too easily.
picture.
So what now?
You would fear from his
Let me see if there's a way. This better get better soon. It's getting kind of annoying with this audio. I think it's just too much audio, because then I go do this and the frames per second goes back up. Yeah, I think it's just because I'm dropping frames. Hopefully that will get better after we get out of the Twilight. Alright. There. Let's cross over there, yeah, okay. I think it's just because there's so much noise. Little bug. Real right here. Yeah, we're dropping frames. That's what it is, and it's like the frames of the audio too, unfortunately. I apologize for those who watching. I gotta make this jump. Come on. There we go. There, hopefully I will be able to get a little calmer now. Maybe the audio will get a little better. There's more guys. Okay, the two guys are on, so I'll just take you down. I only need the last two guys together. Okay, you're just gonna lay there. Alright guys. I don't understand why it's so like frame it dropping on the this is like the actual game itself. Just making the audio.
Help it with your tiny power.
So I'm gonna point this out. There is a bridge here. Randomly here. Remember that there's a bridge here. Yeah, there's this guy. Is he here? Nope, the bird's not even here. Just got rid of him. What do we got going on here? It's the monkey! Man, I talk to the monkey? I guess not. The cheer's going right through. Someone help me?
Oh, lucky for me, ever since
The boss went funny in the head, there's been scary monsters everywhere. Those village kids got led through the woods for some reason. The whole forest is so weird now. What's happened? Can I talk to him again? Or listen? The boss is threatening his friends. The village kids get kidnapped. I mean, what's going on in these woods anyways? The vessel of light is full of tears, and light has returned to this area. Yes! I hate the twilight.
Who's that fairy
Aw,
one?
but it was so nice here in the twilight. What's so great about a world of light anyway? See you later. My name is Farah. Let's see if I can fix it. Graphics. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop him from doing this yet. I am one of the spirits of light who dwell in Hyrule. I use the life force of the gods to protect this forest. O brave youth. In the land covered in twilight, where people roam as spirits, you were transformed into a blue-eyed beast. That was a sign. A sign. It was a sign that the powers of the Chosen One rest within you, and what they are awakening. Look at your awakened form. And I am a link. The green tunic that is your garb once belonged to the ancient hero chosen by the gods. His power is yours. His is the true power that slept within you. Your name is Jesse. I know. Thank you. It's a great name. You are the hero chosen by the gods. Brave Jesse. A dark within these woods. It is a forbidden power. Long, long ago, I and the other spirits of light locked it away because of its nature. It is a power that should never be touched by any who dwell in the light. But this world weeps beneath a mantle of shadows, and so there is no choice. You must met the power of the King of Shadows. If you would seek this forbidden power, then proceed to the temple in the forest depths. I'm so happy to have hands again. Well, well, you're the chosen hero and all that, huh? So that's why you turned into a beast. What a shame. I mean, maybe you'd rather just wander as a spirit like the rest of them, totally unaware of what is happening for all eternity, right? So what do you want to do? Do you want to head to that temple? Well, isn't that convenient? I was about to head there myself. Hey, look, you want to help your friends, right? The way I see it, maybe they're in that temple waiting for you to rescue them. Sounds, it's kind of fishy. Well, good luck, Mr. Important Hero. See you later. Alright, fantastic. So we gotta head to the temple. I'm actually gonna save it quick. And I'm going to keep playing just for a little while but I want to see if I can get the... If I restart it, maybe I can get the frames to work a little better. So I'll be right back then. Alright, welcome back, everyone. I couldn't seem to get it to work. It's still kind of doing its thing, but check it out, I got a sword. It's still lagging a little bit. I don't necessarily like that. Not sure exactly why it's doing that. Maybe I have to restart the computer. Either way, we're gonna head to the temple, and then we'll call it there. We'll call it there then afterwards, so. This is where we ended here. Oh, then, it's not the temple for that weapon I worked so hard to get. Oh, it is. It's literally just a sword. Alright, so through here. Oh, we need a key. Sir, do you have a key? Sir, do you have a key? There's a bird forming a nest in his hair. Hey. Huh? So, it's the Ordanian. You seem familiar, but then your clothing seems kind of different, so I got thrown off for a second. Listen, things have been a little rough around here lately, so you should watch your step, okay, guy? There are so many monsters now. I got kind of scared to close off the path to the temple. But you want to get back there, huh? You sure do look geared up for it, so here you go. Yay! Oh yeah, the woods on the other side of this cave are covered in really thick fog, so make sure that your lantern is full. Definitely needs to use your lantern a lot. Just bring all the oil you can. And check this out, I have a special one-time offer of a bottle full of lantern oil for only 100 rupees. No. Wait, was he offering me an actual bottle? Or was he just offering me to fill my bottle? I don't even know. I don't really know. Let's just get through here quickly. And skip one. They make you, like, go through this path, like, again and again. That's not the way. I can see now. Nice. Oh, this is the part that really gets it. It's really leggy. I'm just walking in here. Mind my own business here. Hey, what's that monkey's problem? This monkey's problem. Idiot, while you were stepping off into dreamland, your lantern got stolen. You're right, let's go get it. So now the monkey's guiding me. There's a chest right there. How I would get it though. Let's see quick. Climb it up here. Nope. Got greedy and I died. Oh, now I gotta do it all again. Gotta keep following the monkey. What? Gotcha, monkey, don't worry. I got you covered. Come on! Follow me, says the monkey. Come on, follow me! Keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on. What? Nothing. Just keep going, monkey. There's nothing there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, monkey. Something is over there. You are safe. Give me my thing back. You got your lantern back. You ran out of oil while you were following the monkey around. Great. What does this say? Forest temple ahead. Got enough lantern oil? If not, stop it. Trolls. I will do that. Here's that bridge again. Hey, buddies. Like, this never did this before, though, this, like, laggy thing. I wonder if it's because I have videos playing, too. I don't know. Could be. I don't think it would be, though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, here's that, bridge. Something out there. Let's see if I can quick get this. Hey, thief, stop! I'm not a thief! Yay! Oh. I mean, I kind of am. I can control some lantern oil and everything, but don't worry about it. I kind of want to do this though. Oh man, here he is. Golden Wolf. He bit my head off. That's it. That's the end of the game. That's it. We didn't make it. I remember like breathing like that. A sword wields no strength unless the hand that holds it has courage. You may be destined to become the hero of legend, but your current power would disgrace the proud green of the hero's tunic you wear. You say what to me? You must use your courage to seek power, and find it you must. Only then will you become the hero for whom the world despairs. It's breathing kind of heavy. If you do find true courage, and you wish to save Hyrule from the horrors it now faces, then you will be worthy to receive the secrets I hold. Enemies that are filled with energy will quickly recover and attack again, even when stunned by a powerful strike. The ending blow is a secret technique you can use on stunned enemies to end their breath before they spring back to action. Kinda dark. When an enemy lies collapsed on the ground, stunned, Z-target and press A without delay to leap high into the air and deliver a final strike. When the opportunities to end their breath is before you, you will see Finish A appear vividly before your eyes. Is that like a Canadian thing? Hey, finish him, eh? Finish, eh? Try that, me. Finish, eh? That was a pinpoint strike. Never overlook your opportunity to finish with A. The first hidden skill, the ending blow, has been passed on. Nice. There are still 6 hidden skills for you to learn. Those are only for one who carries the blood of the hero, the one whose spirit is that of sublime beast, of the sublime beast. Real powerful, test your courage. And when you find that you need another skill to overcome the threats that face you, search for the statues that howl with the sound of the wind. Seek the sound that calls the spirit of the beast to awaken me again. Well, the sword wields no strength unless the hand that holds it has courage. Remember those words. Farewell. Alrighty, so now I gotta find howling stones. Don't understand why the frames dropped that first time. Alright. So we just learned a cool hidden skill. We got full lantern oil. And we're making our way to the temple. Making our way downtown. Oh wait, I gotta try this. No, this one. Ah! Now I want it! So, here we go. Here we go. Oh, never mind. Alright, I'm gonna try to figure this out between episodes. Let's just see if I can get this, like, less laggy. But either way, we're gonna burn this and walk our way in. And this is it. Those guys. Boom. Temple. Welcome to the first temple of Twilight Princess, the Forest Temple. Now it seems like the frames per second are going pretty good. Maybe it was just that area. Alright, well, we made it in here. And, literally the monkey ran ahead and got himself trapped again. Alright. Well, that was a lot of fun. I think we got pretty far, so we got past the prologue in the first episode. The second episode, we basically got into it, and we got prepared, and now we're gonna start the third episode, where we take on the first dungeon. First temple, first dungeon. So, I appreciate that everyone was watching. Thank you so much for watching. We will go ahead and pick up where we left off then in the next episode. If you like this video, please leave a like down underneath the video. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing, because then you get, and hitting the bell, because then you get notified when I do start a stream, and you can join in fun by commenting and making it more entertaining for everybody involved, more interactive, and then we can have more of a conversation. Again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. I will set a reminder for the next stream a little bit before it happens, so look out for that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.